What's up everybody, Andrew Steele here. Today I'm at the United States Air Force Museum in Dayton, Ohio, and normally I only film RV related stuff, but I've got a special treat for you today. So behind me there is so much aviation history. The last time I came here I had to spend like 4 or 5 hours walking around just to take it all in, but the highlight of the whole thing is the presidential exhibit here. Inside this building, there is an Air Force One and several other presidential aircraft. So I'm gonna take you guys on a tour, and if you only wanna see RV stuff, you may not wanna watch this video, but if you wanna see an inside tour of Air Force One, come along. So this museum is set up with a lot of different displays where you can actually go inside of the different aircraft here. Now, they're not all open to the public, but a lot of these airplanes you can actually walk inside. This is the Hercules, the C-130 Lockheed. Man, I can't even imagine how uncomfortable that would be to just have to sit in here. The plane is big enough that you could put tanks in it and all kinds of huge stuff, but really, I'm here for the main event, and that's this right here. Air Force One. How cool is this? That they have this on display where you can actually go see it. Now, last time I came here on a weekday when it was really quiet, but it's actually really busy today. So I'm gonna try to see if I can get you guys the best footage possible. And I've never seen a display of aircraft anything like this. Just presidential aircraft. There's so many of them. So before we go into Air Force One, let's go take a look at the Columbine here. So this plane was used by Eisenhower. So this is the pilot area here. How cool is this that they have this set up? Now, they do have plexiglass here, so you can only go so far to preserve the interior, but this looks like some sort of a conference room area. A little bar stool, I don't think anyone could sit there. Little cargo area here. Another conference room. Little kitchen galley area here. That's cool. How cool is this that this is a completely free museum and they allow you to walk around in here. So now here's a sitting area, and then a bunk bed right here with another sitting area over here. I kind of expected a presidential aircraft to be a little more luxurious. Now this was used in the late 1950s, early 1960s. So kind of these little sitting areas with the conference rooms here. And then this looks like a press area here. So I bet you this is probably where the president sat right here. And this looks like a place for the reporters. A little couch that folds down into a bed in case someone wants to take a nap. Another, looks like a pretty comfortable couch. That was probably pretty plush back in the 50s, I can imagine. And then a cargo area back here, and it looks like a pretty luxurious rear head back there. That's really cool. So this is just so awesome that they have this museum set up where it's open to the public and it's completely free, and you can walk through all these presidential aircraft. That's the one I'm really excited to see. So that was the first one. I think they've got at least 4 or 5 different presidential aircraft that we can take a walk through. So this is kind of the main event here. Now, the last time I was here, although this is kind of the coolest and the biggest name plane, I really like seeing some of the older presidential aircraft after I saw this one. But first, let's go take a look at this. Okay, so there's a lot of children around here, and I'm trying to avoid screaming children as much as possible. So it is a Saturday, it's really busy here. The last time I came was on a weekday, and I like had the whole place to myself. So kind of a different vibe today, but still really cool. Go ahead. Come on. Thank you. Yeah. So this is a little bit older of an aircraft here. So you got the big cockpit area here, really cool. And then a galley up front here. Looks like a couple bunk beds right here. And this, I don't know what this is. I'd be curious. These huge cylinders, probably some of the equipment. And then you've got some cargo bays here as well. More cargo up there. More luggage storage. And this looks like the little conference room area. Another bunk, kind of like that last plane we were in. This is a little tight with all this plexiglass. Now, this is really cool because this is where the commander-in-chief used to sit. And in the older aircraft, I noticed that it's a little more luxurious, like the painting and the woodwork with the seal, the blue curtains. This is just really cool. And then you've got another little sitting area back here, and it looks like kind of a rear head area back there. They do have it plexiglassed off, so I can only get so much for you. So it does get a little bit warm in here. I noticed the ventilation, you know, these planes aren't running, so they're such big old aircraft that the ventilation is minimal, so it does get pretty warm inside there, even though we're inside of this big air-conditioned building. This is really cool to see. This is actually the plane that President Truman used from 1947 to 1953. Called the Independence. What a fitting name. Super cool cockpit area there. Just everything is preserved as how it was when this was used in the Truman era. And I noticed that all of these aircrafts kind of have a similar design where they have different areas for the press, for the staff. Looks like this was a card table, presidential card deck there on the table. You got another sitting area with a bunk up here. So how cool is it that they were flying around in this in the late 40s? I can only imagine the stories that this plane has. Nice little sitting area here. It's kind of the same sitting area on both sides. Midship galley here. How cool is that? They even have the original fire suppression system, and it's funny that this is from the 40s, and some of the newer RVs actually have a similar fire suppression system to this. The technology of this aircraft was so far ahead of its time. But they did remove some of the artifacts from this area for conservation. So this is where President Truman sat when he was traveling in this aircraft. And it looks like the restroom was still luxurious back in the late 40s, early 50s. You got the head over there, kind of a sitting lounge area, little sink. Cool to see this. And they've got a little map there. How cool is that? And then a couch down here. And that's where the commander-in-chief sat, right there. Okay, so we've seen a few aircraft. So I'm gonna try to make it over to that Air Force One. Hopefully there's not too many folks in there, any kids or anything like that. So this was actually used for the executive leaders, like the senior leaders. Fortunately, we aren't able to go through a tour of it. I think it would be pretty hard to make a smaller aircraft like this plexiglassed off like these other ones. So it'd probably be a little bit too tight for them to preserve it and still let people go around in it. The size of these is just enormous. And I was reading up a little bit about Air Force One earlier today, and I think the cost to run like the current Air Force One is gonna be like over $3 billion. So this is huge money here. All right, guys, I'm gonna go walk through Air Force One here and see what's going on. I think we might have to make a couple trips through this one. It's so busy right now. Just kind of a bench seat on the right side here. And then this is the Commander-in-Chief's office right here. Looks like there's a laboratory right there. A couple old school phones, a big old school TV here. Actually used all the way until the Clinton era of 1994. There's a big printing machine.
I'm trying to get to the end of town before my parents find out.
People, control your kids in a museum. It's a museum, buddy. Yeah. I'm here to enjoy this aircraft.
No, I'm sorry. I just trying to surprise my parents.
Well, I'm trying to enjoy this museum, buddy. And so this is the exact reason why I try to come here on a weekday. I'm trying to get a look at this, and they've got all these kids running through here, and I'm gonna see if I can't get you guys a tour without a bunch of screaming kids running around. People, just take control over your kids. Make sure they're well behaved. All right, we're going for round 2 here. Hopefully there's not a bunch of screaming kids. So this aircraft was actually used all of the way from the JFK era all the way until Clinton in 1994. Here it is landing in 1998 at the museum. So this aircraft could have up to 40 plus passengers. It had a 6,000 mile range, 336,000 pounds loaded up. So this is the control area up here. And this was the command center here. So, and then you've got a front galley up here. So cool that this aircraft was used all the way up until 1998 when it was retired. You got some cool sitting areas up here. I think this is going to be more for the press. And this is a unique design compared to the other aircrafts that we just walked through. This entire side has a bench seating here. I'd say it's probably about 45 to 50 feet at least of bench seats here. And then over here to the left, this is where the president hung out. You've got some communication phones. Kennedy used this for 2 years, Nixon for 3 years. So much history in this rig, I can only imagine. This has a much bigger presidential area than some of the other planes. You've got these kind of sitting area back here. I'm sure that was probably for the press. Another big TV there. So this is a very, very famous area. There's a lot of history that happened right here. When President Kennedy was assassinated, this is where President Johnson was sworn in, right here at this area that I'm looking at right now. I can only imagine, you know, all of the feeling and emotion that happened inside of this aircraft. Just what a historical time in our history, and so cool that they have this on display for the general public to come see. Really is a treat to make it here, and I'm sweating, but trying to get you guys the best content here. Big old scanner or printer, it looks like there. They had a little more technology in this aircraft. I'm sure this wasn't all from '64. I'm sure they added technology as it was integrated. There's a typewriter. And then you've got a lot of just seating here on both sides. Huge conference area there. And then a rear galley too. So this plane actually had 2 galleys in it. I bet you they were eating good. And they did downgrade the bathroom. So some of the older presidential aircraft had much more luxurious bathrooms, and it looks like that's a little more like a commercial aircraft there. So SAM 26,000. Wow, so they actually removed the seats here in order to put President Kennedy's casket in this area right here. So much history inside of this plane. Just really a treat to be able to come see it firsthand. You guys have a nice day. And while I'm here, I don't do it enough, and I should say it more often, but a huge thanks to all of you that served in the United States military. You are greatly appreciated. Hey, thank you guys for watching today's video. It was an absolute treat to take a tour of the Air Force One and other presidential aircraft. Make sure to subscribe, and really appreciate all of you, and hope you're all having a great day.